The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, August 28th, and today is National Bow Tie Day. So, you know, Congressman Earl Blumenauer is going to have a great day. It's also National Thoughtful Day, International Read Comics in Public Day. I don't understand the purpose of that day, but National Cherry Turnover Day, Gretchen, and National Red Wine Day. And are you guys ready for this, Rico? I don't understand why this is even a day at all. This should be something that we do not celebrate, but it's also National Power Rangers Day. And
Go Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's the most dumbest show that America ever created. On top of, it's also National...
America didn't create that show, dude.
It did. And Rainbow Bridge Remembrance Day. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top hand corner of your screen to see where we live on the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube. And at some point in time, we'll be audio only on Twitter Spaces. But today is not the day. And coming up first, that's right, it is the dope dad himself. That's right, it's Rico Lamitte. Rocking the Zaddix hat, huh? Big zaddy vibes going on today over there, huh, Rico?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Oh, yeah, Jason. Oh, yeah. You know where I'm going today, man.
Where are you going?
To Thailand, baby.
You're going to Thailand?
Let's go to Thailand, man.
Oh,
going back
boy.
to Phuket. You know, before a big fight, boxers are known to deprive themselves from common human pleasures so they can be about on edge as humanly possible. So they can be aggressive, hungry, damn near animalistic when that opening bell sounds. But ever since Mike Tyson showed the world that he was actually serious about this whole cannabis entrepreneur thing, I'm sure I'm not the only one who wondered what it would actually be like if you actually put boxing and weed together. But without being accompanied by traditional crossfade companions of alcohol and other drugs, fistfights and consumption of weed are about as natural a fit as snowstorms in Hollywood. And, 2023 is going down as the year the world experienced a bit of both, because professional boxing Hall of Famer, current cannabis aficionado Mike Tyson and his Tyson 2.0 company continue to roll out with the hits. This weekend, they were the all-star name brand backers of a groundbreaking venture in Thailand that they say seamlessly combines sports and cannabis culture like never before. It's called the Weed Boxing Championship. And with fighters required by the event to smoke a bong or hit a joint before participating, it's nearly impossible for the human brain to fathom what kind of shit show potential this thing has. The event was supposed to debut yesterday, August 27th, on Koh Samui, Thailand's second largest island. But it's unclear whether it actually did. And more on that in just a second here. But the boxers involved sign up to engage in three-minute rounds of action after token up in their respective corners for a little mandated pregame sesh. And attendees at the event are also invited to fully immerse themselves in the cannabis-infused atmosphere and get the opportunity to share in the same damn cannabis varieties the fighters on stage are consuming. This thing's crazy, man. A promotional blurb for the spectacle read, "The convergence of live entertainment, delectable cuisine, and the distinctiveness of the event itself renders the Weed Boxing Championship a multi-sensory extravaganza. The chosen venue, the Sumwai International Muay Thai Stadium, is poised to accommodate the sizable audience, poised to make an unforgettable experience for all present." Before the weekend, promoters bragged that the fighters wouldn't have to worry about the scrutiny of anti-doping agencies like WADA or USADA. They did not, however, anticipate Phuket's finest would be the ones breaking up that party. Fresh off last week's smoke cannon hating debacle, it seems local Thailand police were not feeling it. A quick trip this morning that went over to the Weed Boxing Instagram handle, and their live feed from yesterday brought up a small, brightly lit boxing venue with flashing police lights all in the background, cops walking across the canvas, and a caption mid-screen saying, "To be continued, ... Unfortunately, Tyson wasn't on the fight card, but was supposed to be there to show love as a ringside ambassador of the cannabis cause, partaking in the puffing parade with some of the contenders. There's no mention on his website, on his Instagram page or anything like that about the fight. One of the fighters on his page is showing the promotions, but there's no updates during or after the show either. So who knows if it went down? But either way, it's crazy as hell. And this is what we come down to now. You know, former boxers getting together and having professional fights in foreign countries and smoking weed before. You know, I don't know how I feel about that, but I want to hear from you guys. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street. A little lighthearted news to start the week off, but the fuck.
I'm confused. Is this event actually going on, or is this postponed?
Whoa! He just said the F word. Why do I get in trouble when Rico gets a pass?
Sean, stop it.
I apologize. I did not mean to. Especially
keep
in the
poking.
first story. But
I get treated.
I think it's veteran bias.
I agree, Gretchen.
You're right. It is veterans bias. You're right, 100%. For anyone that wants to believe that
Jason's
shit, you're right.
Anti-veteran, or maybe he just likes exploiting veterans for his own needs.
Yeah. That's it.
Sean, it sounds like you're anti-affirmative action because I.
Hey, well, stop. Bullshit. Let me explain this. And I said this at Cal. I had a big speech on this in front of 1,000 people back in 92. Or no, 93 or 4, when I don't even remember. I'm so old.
We all know that you're old,
I came
Sean.
out in support of affirmative action, and I believe affirmative action is important. Why? Because if you measure everything by a test score, you end up with a bunch of bookworms who bring you no diversity and have no perspective on life. You bring everyone around the table from all different walks of life, and you educate about perspective, and that's what's lacking in our country. So take it back. I'm a big believer in affirmative action, but not elevating privilege of all different races to the table. Because if we get a bunch of rich black, rich white, rich brown people together, you still have no.
And what does any of this have to do with the story?
I don't even know what we're talking about to begin with. All I know is Tyson and Thailand.
Apologize to me, Rico, for such slander.
Stop the craziness, Sean. All right, so hold on. We're going back to talking about Tyson.
I love you too. Brother.
Does anyone else not care about this story?
No. I am humble enough and I'm secure enough. If that's going to calm my brother
doesn't care
down,
enough. He left.
I love you. And I'm sorry. I've never been that. Hey, I'm okay with that, man. I love you, and I apologize if that's going to bring you back.
We're 9 minutes in, and this
is fucking stupid.
Hey,
straight up.
Let's talk about Tyson boxing.
No, we're done. We're going to the next story now. We're going to the next story. Your story got hijacked by Sean, and you let him do it.
No. Hold on. It seems like I have no idea.
All right. Rico, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So did I hear this correctly?
Yes.
They're going to consume, and then the audience members can consume what they're consuming. That's part of the shtick. And what is the point of this? Just stupidness.
How much is
Thailand.
the cannabis sponsorship for this event to be able to provide all the weed for this? That's what I want to know.
Thailand.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's plenty of weed in Thailand. I mean, and there's plenty of California cannabis there.
Different language.
It sounds like the precursor to blood sport.
And they're allowed to do this in Thailand?
Oh, you're allowed to do a lot of things in Thailand, Gretchen.
Oh man,
you're not allowed,
you're
not allowed to blow the cannon.
I don't want to know. I'm too innocent to know.
Is that what it's called?
Mayflower ladies, yes, you believe in a non-reality, but that's a different thing. Hey, I got a comment in this. WFW has a Thailand chapter, so we'll visit. Come visit when you're out there. I'll go with you.
That's real.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it, and I will not be participating. I might be in the crowd though. I might be in the crowd for this World Boxing Weed Championship, whatever the hell it is.
Hey, let's talk about. I have a question on this. Do we have 2 seconds?
No, we don't.
Sure.
No.
Go for it.
What, Sean?
We need as a group to talk about, maybe not on this show, what people in the chat are complaining about. Some people. I'm going to leave it at that.
Stop.
That is not the time or place. But I would like to know, how are they getting away with this in Thailand? Are you truly allowed to consume like this?
It looks like they didn't get away with it. Yeah.
So they tried to do this thing and Thailand won't let it happen, is what the story is?
Yeah, it looks like the cops broke it up. But there was no reports that it didn't happen or anything like that. I literally went on the Instagram page to get a clip on the show or to see who won. And on their live from yesterday, 23 hours ago, it showed that there's cops walking around the canvas and said to be continued. So,
Chris Eggers, if you were a cop in Thailand, what would your take on this story be?
I wouldn't.
His take on the story would be, how much am I getting paid to allow this go on? Is basically what his take.
Gretchen, that's twice now. I'm going to say Gretchen picked on me twice now.
That's already. Yeah, we're gonna keep.
Sit back and don't say anything. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah,
that was my strategy for quite some time, and I'm okay. I guess it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this show rolling. We're gonna keep on moving. We're gonna go to a commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Hey, Jason.
Stop with all the dumbass shit, Sean. Stop.
Yeah, be quiet. I'll tase you.
Up next, got some live action going on here on the apparently more action than was going down in Phuket.
Way more action.
Coming to the stage is none other than Donald Trump's #1 cannabis industry supporter, and he's also known for being the longest continuously operating retailer.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
Mute Sean. Mute Sean.
Are we referring to Trump or Jason?
Only the
mute
best.
Sean.
Every single day in, day out. Y'all know who it is. Jason Beck.
Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Are you guys ready for this one? Man, oh man, oh man. Monday. Sean, just for you, just so you know, Chris Eggers, this story is just for you today, okay? All right, New Jersey cops are winning the fight to use cannabis while off duty, they say. The first battle is the war over whether New Jersey law enforcement officers can use cannabis when they're off duty is over, and the cops who want to partake in legal weed are winning, they say. Recent decisions from a state administrative law judge and the Civil Service Commission found in favor a Jersey cop who was just fired after she used cannabis, with the judge ruling against the city's claim that it can fire officers even if they use the substance legally and not on duty. The decisions are significant not because they appear to be the first to wade into this controversy after a handful of local leaders come out against letting their officers partake in legal weed. They are also noteworthy because Jersey's city's Democratic mayor, Steve Fulop, is seeking to become the state's next governor. Fulop has ignored a 2022 memo issued by Attorney General Matt Plankin that says cops can use cannabis when they're off duty. The attorney for the officer in question did not respond to a request for comment. is also representing 3 other Jersey City police officers who were fired using cannabis. Those 3 cases have yet to make it to the Civil Service Commission. Joshua Boucher, a Woodland Park-based lawyer who specializes in civil and cannabis litigation, called the city's associations here distasteful. And in a quote, he says, "It's a travesty that Jersey City would press this case. There's no rational basis for it," Boucher said. And other states have grappled with the conflict between state and federal laws on cannabis in a wrongful termination case. The Nevada Supreme Court last year declined to recognize legal adult use cannabis use as a lawful activity within the court, citing the federal ban on the substance. And in 2015, the Colorado Supreme Court held that state law not bar employers from firing employees who use medical marijuana off duty, even when there is no evidence that cannabis use affected their job performance. A subsequent legislative push in Colorado to protect workers who use cannabis failed, and Norhan Mansour is the cop at the center of the commission's decision. According to the court's documents, she was chosen for a random drug test on September 20th of 2022 that turned up positive for cannabis. This was 5 months after the state's adult use cannabis market opened. During a disciplinary hearing in November, she conceded that she had ingested cannabis gummies the night before the test, and afterwards she was fired, the documents show. She challenged her termination, and the case went before the administrative law judge, Kimberly Moss. Attorneys for the Jersey City argued federal law bars its officers from possessing firearms and ammunition if they use cannabis, and that the federal law preempts the state's marijuana legalization law, known as the CREAM Act, CREAMM Act. Look at that. Fulop has made those arguments himself, posting on social media back in April of 2022 in response to Platkin's memo that allowing officers to use cannabis off-duty would put the community at risk, in quotation marks. Fulop's view was echoed by other mayors, including State Senator Paul Sarlo, the Woodridge mayor, and Ocean County Sheriff Office, which also said it would bar its officers from using cannabis ever. In a quote, "I have been a staunch supporter of legalization, and we have made Jersey City the most flexible with regards to legalization for our community. But responsible protections for our officers and community is important. The trust between police community is fragile," Fulop wrote. Well, I don't think it's because they're using weed. It's because of other stuff. But nonetheless, in June, Moss ruled in Mansour's favor, and her decision notes the obvious conflict between the state's law and federal law, which still considers marijuana an unlawful controlled substance. But she said state is not required to enforce federal law, while state law directs police departments to comply with the CREAM Act, which bars employers from firing workers for using cannabis. Moss also noted that the city did not cite anything that showed off-duty cannabis use interfered with Mansour's job performance. In a quote, "There is no preferred evidence that there was ever any reasonable suspicion of cannabis use on the job by Mansour, nor were there any purported signs of intoxication, suspected drug use, or impairment during work hours," she said. Moss recommended that the Civil Service Commission reinstate Mansour, which it did on its August 2nd ruling. That decision also awarded Mansour back pay, benefits, and attorney's fees. The city has not put Mansour back to work, and it can appeal the commission's decision to the state's appellate division. And Kimberly Wallace-Saclone, Fulop spokesperson, said an appeal is in the works. James Shea, the city's public safety director, told New Jersey Monitor, "The crux of the issue here is federal law that bars anyone from using firearms if they also use cannabis or other similar controlled substances, and the New Jersey police officers must be able to carry firearms," Shea said. "So if federal law bars cannabis users from using firearms, they cannot be police officers," they say. In another quote, "Right now it remains illegal for anyone who uses marijuana to own a firearm," he said, adding, "The Civil Service Commission is telling me to rehire them and to rearm them by me reading my federal law. They're telling me to commit a crime, and they can't make me commit a crime," he says. Shea said he does not believe the administrative law judge who heard Mansour's case properly addressed this issue. And Peter Paris, Mansour's attorney, said in a brief with the Civil Service Commission that New Jersey police officers do not need federal approval to carry firearms. So even if a Jersey police officer lost their federal firearms license, they could still lawfully carry their weapons on duty. Boucher said he believes the city will lose in the end, and he hopes it's fight all the way up to the state Supreme Court so the justices can put the issue to rest. They say there's no challenge. They were impaired on the job, and that they were legally consuming. Bachner said, I don't know why Jersey City, of all places, would be the ones to challenge this, he says. Well, Chris Eggers, what do you have to say about this?
I've said for quite some time, right? So you can, as a cop, no one's going to blink an eye if you come to work generally. And I've worked in Oakland and San Francisco. I'm speaking more about my experience in San Francisco. Dudes come to work hungover, right? Under the effect of alcohol, but maybe not in the system at the time, right? Versus consuming cannabis where it's in your system, but you are not under the influence of it the next day. So I think each agency is going to kind of work it out how they work it out, but I think it's a little bit hypocritical when nobody bats an eye. Very few people would bat an eye if an officer came to work hungover and is told, that morning after lineup, hey, don't drive, let your partner drive today, and that's sort of like how that's dealt with. It's hypocritical, but we'll see how it shakes out. Each city is going to run it differently.
I mean, but Chris, at the same time too, I've heard these kind of arguments in the past, and I've also heard narcotics officers make these same arguments in regards to why they are going to enforce on cannabis, even when municipalities tell them not to enforce on cannabis and to basically take a stand down, but yet they still pursue cannabis cases, and they use the same argument, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been, or maybe it has been used in this case. But basically, when you're a cop, you take a few different oaths. One is to the city and county for whatever you're working under. The second is to the state to which you reside in, and the third is to the federal government, and is to uphold all of those different laws. And so, therefore, I don't understand how this judge ruled, saying that they can still maintain their firearm even though it's against federal law for them to.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's definitely going to be a follow-up story, I think, because there's a lot of moving parts here.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on this, Rico, Gretchen, Sean?
Let them smoke.
Let them smoke.
I thought, listen, Chris, this is what we need to realize. I'm so sick of the dishonest discussion. There are a lot of bad cops. There's a lot of good cops. The system's corrupt. It ain't just the cop, thing. And that's what we have to have a discussion. If we don't fix this system, we're going to lose our country. And so the first thing we got to deal with is best public policy. And to be honest with you, you ask me, cannabis would be a medication and a performance enhancer for our police force as a tool for those cops who want to smoke. And I don't give a flying F what people think. And all the people who disagree who are cops, NWA, F those guys.
Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you what, I think this is a great branding opportunity for some brand in New Jersey, because I would definitely put a cop on a package and call the brand Smoked.
Hey, what about a WFW line for our police who want to medicate with it? That's where I think this is heading.
So you're talking about developing strains that are specifically for law enforcement, Sean?
Okay, I'm so tired of these specific strains so people can market. Cannabis is cannabis. I change up my shit all the time because I have to change up my strains for it to be effective, or I just build a tolerance. So this idea that there's one strain for one symptom is a bunch of BS.
I don't think that's the thing, is that it's one strain for one thing. I think it's more based on the terpene profile.
Guys, stop. Everyone's trying to say what do you think that Michigan study they were trying to do? They were trying to, there was that one dispensary who sold, I'm selling the flower for the study. The study comes across as effective in some association of study BS. And then they say, my strain, what do you think Rick Doblin at MAPS is trying to do?
Mm-hmm. But so on that, Sean, let's man, where do we even go with Sean? Sean is such a mess
Let
today.
me talk the truth and get out of my way.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh man. What are you saying, Gretchen? I see you sighing.
I said, I love it. I love it when you're backed into a corner and you got nothing to say. Keep going, Sean.
Oh, God.
I have the straps on, and I learned from Mr. Scott, Senator Scott, how to put those on you. So
I bet. I bet.
All right, move on.
Yeah, we're gonna roll right into our feisty redheaded conservative Gretchen Gailey. She's the founder of She's the founder of Panoptic Strategies and our very own Washington Insider.
My rider list
here.
Is gonna mean I have to be top 3.
You're gonna have to mute. You're gonna have to mute Sean. You're gonna have to just keep Sean muted. It is none other than the Gretchen Gailey.
Okay. I picked this. I didn't really love it, but what the hell? I needed a story, and Jason was on my back. Here's my headline. Former Trump drug czar says top federal officials stopped FDA from scheduling Kratom amid concern about agency's bias. As the FDA under the Trump administration prepared to propose federal restrictions on Kratom, a number of top officials intervened, criticizing the agency's bias and stopping it on the spot from moving ahead with the scheduling, a former White House drug czar said in a new interview. They did not have the entire facts. They did not have the science, said Jim Carroll, who served as director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, or the drug czar, under President Donald Trump from 2018 to 2021. FDA did not paint the entire picture. Maybe they didn't have the entire picture, but everyone else did. Carroll, who now works as a private lawyer and consultant, made the comments during a discussion with Mac Haddow, senior fellow at the American Kratom Association, who knew that existed, during the National Conference of State Legislatures summit in Indianapolis earlier this month. The former White House official said that as the Trump administration was considering whether to schedule Kratom under the Controlled Substances Act around 2018, FDA gave a presentation to his office that misstated the drug's risk profile and potential benefits. The agency was talking about Kratom being an opioid. We know that's wrong. It's flat out wrong, Carroll said. They said that it's highly addictive. Johns Hopkins and other medical independent researchers have said it's no more addictive than a cup of coffee in the morning, which I had before this interview. Initially, Carroll said he and others were inclined to defer to the FDA's expertise. I'm sitting there and thinking, okay, well, this is, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. They know what they're talking about. Carroll acknowledged that his office was relatively unfamiliar with Kratom. This wasn't a drug that's already scheduled. This is what they were seeking. So it wasn't something, our office had a lot of experience with prior to coming into that. At the time, FDA was set to make a similar briefing to the DEA because that's one of the agencies that actually has to sign off on making a new controlled substance. But as the administration geared up to consider scheduling Kratom, Brett Giroir, then the Assistant Secretary of Health at the Department of Health and Human Services, caught wind of the FDA's claims. According to Carroll, he said, "Don't let this happen." Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, also got involved. And together, officials began reviewing available research and questioning the FDA's position. We stopped scheduling on the spot, Carroll said. They also began learning more about how Americans use Kratom, not as a drug of abuse, Carroll explained, but more as a drug of substitution. It actually helps people with opioid addiction. It works in the same part of the brain where opioids attach themselves and cause sedation, causing people to stop breathing, causing people to die. One government study showed that the vast majority of people are using Kratom for the right reasons. They're using it as a supplement, as a food, if you will, because it's a tea leaf. They're using it to get off opioids. They're using it to do what we're supposed to do, which is save lives. I would say, why not get these guys on our boat? I don't know who any of them are, but apparently they have some actual pull at the FDA and actually can get something done. I see Sean raising his hand and can't wait to jump into this. So please, Mr. Kiernan, what is your opinion on this topic?
Well, I know Nora personally. I mean, there's a lot of people involved I know personally, but again, there's some real insiders and there's people acting like insiders. Basically, if you haven't figured out, the FDA is owned by Big Pharma, and Big Pharma does not want to see cannabis as a medicine. So the deal they cut with the people like Drug Policy Alliance and Ethan Needle Dick, excuse my language,
Ethan Nadelman,
we're going to sell cannabis as a vice, tax the shit out of it to government's going to have money they can spend, and we're going to use cannabis through regulatory capture like we have Big Pharma on the research side, and we're going to generate our money and keep cannabis industry poor because we don't want to create another big tobacco because our bureaucrats want control. If you haven't figured this out, you're blind, deaf, and dumb and don't belong being an advocate.
Okay, so back to Kratom.
And Kratom is a case study in exactly what I just said.
Well, hold your horses here, Chief. My question would be, so you say, hold on. So you're saying that they just didn't care about Kratom? Let Kratom go do what it wants because it's not a threat.
No.
Okay.
Kratom is a substitute for Big Pharma, young lady. How?
I got it. So if the FDA is bought and paid for by pharma, why would they allow Kratom not to get scheduled? Why would they want that not to happen? That's what I'm trying to understand.
You cannot have this natural plant medicine in the schedule because Big Pharma doesn't want it as medicine. They want to keep it outlawed. And so what they don't want is to give plant authority outside and deschedule any of this shit. Do I have to spell it out for you, little new precious insiders?
Yes, please spell it out because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, you can't reschedule cannabis because rescheduling cannabis keeps it. Oh, did you get it? Same thing with Kratom.
But it was never scheduled to begin with. So what?
You're right. They want to outlaw it and make it like a Schedule 1 and put it under the authority of Big Pharma. And sell you.
But then why wouldn't they allow that to happen?
Then they would put it as a Schedule 2 if they wanted that to happen, Sean.
No. They want it to happen, and there's insiders who have figured it out, and they're stopping it. Thank you to someone on this show.
Hold on. What are you doing, Gretchen? Is she going to go feed her dog?
She doesn't know how to speak back. She's been put in her place by a man, and she can't handle it.
Oh boy, here we go. Oh shit!
Wow.
You gotta get into this shit.
Oh man, you gotta.
What are you talking about? I got my hat on backwards now. Let's do this.
Look at your brother. Come SummerSlam.
I'm missing it. So if they were saying, let's make this a Schedule 1 drug, and they said, absolutely not. Why would they say no if pharma is the one who is telling them?
Because we have good people. We have good people standing up in D.C. and fighting back.
That was the Trump administration you're talking about right there, Sean.
Okay, time out.
Just saying.
Lock him up. I don't want to hear that clown who tries to use our medicine for his advantage. He ain't going to win because good people are going to stand up. I'm sorry, Jason. You are associated with a clown car.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
We already knew that.
Yeah, here we go.
Inside a dumpster fire. It is the U.S. government.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Gotta love it.
Well, I mean,
Hey, 2 men in the ring, 1 man leaves. Gretchen stepped up, all genders included, so nothing offensive. I'm an old English guy, so I use for everybody. Gina, not Gina, whatever your name is, Gretchen. You still want to stay in the ring?
Oh boy,
let's do this.
I feel like we've.
You know what?
I feel like this is the opening match for Mike Tyson in Thailand right here.
I'll take Tyson on too.
I mean, I'm just saying.
We'll suck the musket, and we'll send all the money for veterans to the winner. I'll come out with a diaper like a sumo wrestler.
Yes. Can we please make that happen?
Oh boy.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah, we're gonna put this on our Patreon page, and we're gonna charge tickets for this shit.
We have room for that in the new studio, Jason. We got to make that happen.
I don't care.
Yes, that is very true.
All right. So we're time for commercial.
Yeah, we're gonna Gretchen. We're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Yeah, I'll explain it later.
Oh, yeah, and we're back. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And also, too, make sure you head over to our website, www.highat9news.com. Sign up for our newsletter. You'll get an email in your inbox, hit confirm, and then you will automatically receive our newsletter on a regular basis. We did a lot of work over the weekend to get this all working back up and rocking for you, so I hope you all enjoy it. And with that, we're going to go into our next commercial.
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good Thing to Law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
Yep,
Sounds
straight
like we
up.
need to turn around
I don't mind punching a cripple.
Sean, easy there, easy there.
Up next, he is a fellow dope dad, former police officer, and now a security consultant at CC Security Solutions, here to help us all improve our chances.
The vet? What kind of BS is this?
Shut the fuck up, Sean.
Here to help us all increase our chances of survival. Coming to the stage, Chris Eggers. What you got, man?
I'm just trying to stay out of trouble, man.
I mean,
happy Monday. Happy Monday, everybody.
Hold on, Chris. Isn't that the cop's way of life? Just trying to stay out of trouble?
There you go. There you go, Jay. Happy Monday to everybody, especially Sean. Okay. My article is a follow-up from one that I talked about in weeks prior. It's an update about a shooting that happened at a Martinez dispensary as a result of a burglary, and law enforcement got into a shooting. The headline reads that family activists push for release of body-worn camera footage in Martinez police shooting of 20-year-old. It's been a little over a week since 20-year-old Tamon Wilson was shot and killed by Martinez police. It happened just outside Velvet Dispensary in Martinez on August 18th after police say their video alarm, the dispensary's video alarm, was reported to go off around 3:30 a.m. And that appears to be how the call got initiated to law enforcement. Martinez police said that an SUV fled the scene and shots were fired. Police say that a second car attempted to flee before crashing into a fire hydrant. Wilson's brother was also wounded. This is a quote from Adante Pointer. He's a civil rights attorney in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he said, quote, "He had a front row seat to watching it strike his younger brother in the back of the head." Civil rights attorney Adante Pointer, who was representing the Wilson family, says that both men were unarmed and were shot at from behind while the car was leaving the scene. I don't believe that those are details that we had when we originally reported on this article. Mr. Pointer further says this is a tragic situation that should not have happened if the officers had used restraint, followed their training, followed the policies, and quite frankly, followed the law. That's why he, along with another nonprofit advocating for the victims of police brutality called Together We Stand, are calling for the release of body-worn camera footage under the state law, which must be released within 45 days of the shooting. Together We Stand executive founder Fernandez said that we're looking forward to the body-worn camera footage being released because, unfortunately, in the past, the narrative that law enforcement gives is not always what happened. The California Department of Justice, as we reported earlier, is investigating the shooting. And in Martinez, it's called a ripple effect. It caused a ripple effect for the department's staffing. We've talked about low staffing levels previously. Vice Mayor Mark Ross says that the city's optimal staffing level for the police department is 37 officers. Up until Friday, they had about 30 to 31 officers. I'm wondering why they can't have an exact number, but okay. But after the 4 officers involved in last Friday's shooting were put on administrative leave per protocol, that brought the total available police force down to 26 to 27 officers. Ross said, quote, "That has been alleviated with the help of mutual aid from surrounding agencies who are filling in some of the vacant spots, so we feel very comfortable with the level of staffing right now, and the citizens of Martinez shouldn't be too concerned about that," he said. And he says that over the past 12 months, the city council voted to update their body-worn camera equipment. That's my follow-up story for you on this Monday morning. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Curious to see what my correspondents think about this article. I think this is going to be a developing story. One of my main points about this generally for the cannabis industry is that it's important, I think, for operators to understand that when and if situations happen at your facility, one of the byproducts of that could be a civil litigation, whether you're involved or not, but disruption to business at a minimum is likely occurring here or in similar cases. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of folks, because I think a lot of times we look at, the threats to a cannabis business as the burglary or the robbery or the bad act, but there's a ripple effect that can cause disruption to business and further loss of revenue and other things going on. Employee retention, things of that nature can happen as well as a byproduct of retail crime. And again, I don't think this is a cannabis problem specifically. I think this is a retail problem. There we see all across the board various other types of facilities and businesses being targeted.
Thank you for continuing to cover this story, Chris. I think that releasing that body cam footage is exactly what they need to do to at least get some clarity on what happened, what didn't happen. It's just a lot of shady shit. It's a lot, and somebody's not saying something across the board. And the fact that they did not specifically say certain things, they said they thought he had a gun on him, and come on, man, like he was killed.
Rico, yeah, sorry, Rico, but to your point, that's what my article that we originally reported on this referenced, that the passenger of a vehicle had a firearm per that article. So thank you for bringing that point up again, because we're not sure. Sean, please.
Listen, I mean, I think one of the core of the problems is police unions, which create the thin blue line. And therefore, we don't have an accountable police department. If we had an accountable police department, you would weed out some of the bad actors, or more importantly, less trained actors. We need better training. We need policy that doesn't dump every societal ill on the police to enforce. And I am sorry, we do not live in Europe, to some of the comments, like they don't do shit in Europe. Sending police out without firearms in America is the dumbest thing. You're going to have a bunch of dead cops, and you're not going to have people want to join the police department because they don't want to get shot. The fog of war is real. These police are, made to make split-second decisions. And so how do you hold them accountable with the freedom to be humans? And I think the police unions have taught and trained these police officers what to say, how to say it, or blatant lies to protect themselves as the backlash continues. And I'll leave it at that. But I will tell you, disarming police or de-weaponizing them in America, which is AKA Crazy Town, with over 350 million weapons we have on the street, you're going to have the curve, is what you're going to have.
Chris, Go ahead, Chris.
So, no, please, Gretchen.
Well, I was going to ask you a question, which is, I guess, semi-relevant here. Is why, when we know all cops have body cam footage, do they keep doing this shit? Like shooting people, beating them up? Or do they forget they're wearing a camera? I don't understand why we keep hearing about incident after incident where they lie, and then you get the body cam footage, and it's like, for real, what the F?
Great question, Gretchen. And my comment was going to be exactly on that topic. So one of the things I can tell you from this is my own personal opinion and personal experience, but having been a field training officer up until the point of leaving San Francisco PD, one of my biggest frustrations was the bar continuing to lower. So to Sean's point, there isn't and I don't think he said this exactly, but there isn't a long line of people lining up to go and fill these vacant positions. There's just not. And we can debate about what the reason is, but my point is there's just not a long line of people signing up to fill these positions. So what happens is the bar continuously lowers. And whether it lowers officially or unofficially is also up for debate. But I can tell you that I trained recruits, and we have to do what's called a DOR, a daily observation report. Every single day, I've got to grade you and judge you on a plethora of categories, and I've got to write a narrative and justify why I say this person should or should not be a police officer. This is exiting the academy when you're in the field training program, which can run somewhere between 4 and 6 months, depending on the agency. And I absolutely had recruits sitting in the car with me where we drive to the field training office, and I'm like, this person should not be a police officer. They should not have a gun, for these reasons. And they pass them anyway. It's not my call if they get passed or not. They only can go off of what I say, but it just didn't matter in some very specific cases. What I said did not matter. I said specifically, this person should not be a police officer, documented in my daily observation reports, which I'm not sure is available to public record or not, but something that I'm curious about as I'm saying this. And the bar continuously lowers. And so I think, Gretchen, we're going to continue to see, unfortunately, things like this occur and other bad things happen, because not completely as a result, but as part of a result of that bar continuously being lowered to fill those bodies. They just want somebody with a pulse, honestly. I mean, it's pretty scary. And it's part of the reason that I became incredibly frustrated with the profession and wanted to leave was, the person next to me was not qualified to be there, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Chris, are police departments still getting the leftover surplus from war stuff? Are we still seeing them getting like tanks and shit like that we were seeing a plethora of them having early on in COVID?
I didn't see that. I mean, I'm not saying no, Rico, but I didn't see it. But I, worked in Oakland and San Francisco, two places
that's one of the biggest war zones in America right now.
Say, Jay, I didn't hear you.
I said that's one of the biggest war zones in America right now, San Francisco and Oakland.
I mean, like, I know San Francisco and Oakland both have, I think Oakland calls it the Bearcat, but, armored vehicles for SWAT operations and things like that. But as far as like a surplus, I don't see.
No, that's how they receive them is because they're of the surplus. That's how they receive them in the first place.
I have a question.
You act like you know what you're talking about, Jason.
I do know what I'm talking about, Sean.
They're disarming these things. There's been congressional movements to disarming these vets, but I got to be real. If you're in Chicago, I want an MRAP if I'm a cop. The question isn't the MRAP, it's how it's used. And the problem is drug policy. We're putting these cops in to say no drugs. And what really is about keep those people out of my neighborhood, the rich people. And Chris, I did say the recruiting issue, and the other people that have a recruiting issue is the military. And that's where is our best ally at the federal level. Insiders want to know. I know what's going on. The chief of staff is our best ally in getting cannabis normalized. Discussions ongoing.
What's your question, Zaza? Yeah.
Yes, I did have a question. So I know this is about the body cams. I see it a problem because even with body cam footage and a lot of cases that we've seen play out just on the news, even with the body cam footage, these police officers are still not being held accountable. So what's the difference? I mean, if they have the body cam footage, just like with George Floyd, they have over 10 minutes of footage of him on this man's neck. And there still was, it just went on and on and on, questioning the footage as if, we didn't see what we all saw from all different angles, from all those different cameras. So what is the point of having them if they can disarm them or even use footage that doesn't account to anything?
Well,
agreed.
Great comment. My follow-up to that would be what I hope doesn't happen is internally law enforcement agencies not wanting to fire or not firing officers that should be because of the retention issue. And I think, Oakland PD recently had some headlines around the chief being fired because of alleged cover-ups with respect to misconduct and not disciplining properly. So that's a trend that I hope is not coming because accountability I think is absolutely key. And any in my opinion, any real working cop that's out there doing the right thing would totally agree. I mean, transparency is absolutely paramount with law enforcement. Great comments. Thank you.
And you know what, Sean? I agree with you 100% that the police unions are the problem. And they go out there and they put out that the rhetoric that's a lot more divisive to the communities and everything. I think that really burned into my mind was when Eric Garner was choked out for selling Lucy's in New York, and then the first thing you saw was police union coming to his back. And all the press conferences saying that, they were defending themselves and all that other stuff, man. Like, that's the one union that I really can't mess with, man.
Rico, it's not
all
just
unions.
It's not just police unions. Talk about the SEIU, the UFCW.
Exactly. It's all unions.
Hey, Jason, let the man speak.
Hurry up, Sean. I'm about to announce you, so just hurry up because you're cutting into your time.
Well, why am I going before the Queen? Let the Queen go.
What are you talking about?
I don't walk in front of the Queen. The Queen should go next. I'll go last.
What are you talking about, bro?
Is the Queen talking?
You don't even know what you're talking about, Sean.
Who are you talking about, me?
Sean. All right, coming up next, is Mr. Sean Kiernan. He's the president of Weed for Warriors. And he has...
CEO.
What?
CEO. Use my proper title.
Oh, the CEO of Weed for Warriors, the largest veterans access organization in the nation. Oh, yes, that's right. It's Mr. Sean Kiernan. He has a special announcement he wants to share about SB 34.
Let me get to my story first. My story is from
He's so cranky today.
Can you be quiet? S&P discontinues Canadian international cannabis stock indices. Shock. 2 indices tracking the performance of cannabis businesses on North America's largest stock exchanges have been discontinued amid waning investor interest in marijuana stocks and billions in losses suffered by the companies because we were given a horrible system. It didn't work out. The S&P TSX Canadian Cannabis Index was decommissioned with little fanfare earlier this year after being launched on January 20th, 2020, as spokesperson for S&P Dow Jones Indices confirmed. I'm going to leave it at that because I give the Cliff Notes versions. I don't need to go on ad nauseum. We all understand what's going on. Okay? Let me give you a little insider information. A lot of these ETFs are ways that insiders sell and hedge out their insider stock they can't sell. And right now, you got a bunch of public companies that are going to zero because they've been network capitalized. And anyone who wants to question I spent almost 30 years as a hedge fund manager in the finance world of J.P. Morgan, Ernst & Young. I ran billions of dollars. Aggregate. I know these people personally. We were given a fraud, and now the truth is coming home to roost. I'll leave it at that and open up to questions. And on SB 34, we have to renew it next year. I'm not sure I'm down for renewing it, and I can explain why on the next show. But I'm not going to let SB 34 be a placard giving away a couple thousand bags and acting like we're solving an issue when you have a serious access issue in an illicit market that's being boomed because we don't have access. I'm not going to let them use compassion to market their bullshit.
All right, Sean. I mean, Rico. And with Poseidon just losing their ETF, right?
Right.
This all ties into exactly with this whole story, right?
Yeah, isn't that what I said? Isn't what I said when I covered the Poseidon thing? It was just that was a leading indicator. Like all of these quote unquote weed indices or indexes are crashing because there's only a certain basket of publicly traded companies, and let's keep it a buck. Like the majority of those MSOs that are trading and everything, like they don't put out good product. They don't have any connection to the actual cannabis community. So they're just going to go up and down with the market, and whatever happens in these mainstream idea stories is tied directly to safe banking, tied directly to whatever topic of the day that will push federal legalization or not. And it's just going to be an emotional play. So, I mean, there's no real emotion supporting the cannabis movement right now when it comes to investor sentiment. So all of them are going to continue to crash, period. It's just the way that it is, and we're going to see more of this. People are just going to be divesting away from it. You can still get in on the individual stocks, but it's pointless to have an index when everything is going up and down together. You know what I'm saying?
Which is why I always say, and in Rico's favorite words, this is not financial advice, but I always say just short them all. It's the best thing you can do with those things.
Well, the problem with the short is you need a short. Most of these things are and the borrow is expensive. You're going to pay 30 to 35% on the short to borrow. And how Wall Street makes a lot of money is they print short stock, get paid, and then they have short squeezes. And that's how that one fraudulent Sun company up in Canada has like 200 million in cash. They were part of the short game, but hey, I don't want to deal with, hurt anyone's feelings about what's really going on. So we can do a whole session on this because this is only the news channel.
Sean, you and I were in a financial services industry, like the whole thing. You watch The Wolf of Wall Street. You watch like all these,
I know
Money
The Wolf
Talks.
of Wall Street.
Yeah, we all see all that shit, and they demonize the pump and dump, the pump and dumps when it comes to penny stocks and everything. The whole system is a pump and dump. The whole damn game.
It's a fraud.
The whole damn game is rigged from the jump.
Regulatory capture. The SEC rules are used just like the FDA rules.
Yeah. And it's just, if you are a larger company, you have more people, more trading volume and all that stuff. You're just not seeing
you know what
as
the
high
two
risk.
biggest industries donated to DCR that allows them to get these rules written? Big Pharma and Wall Street. How do you think they get the regulations put in place to make us their slaves?
And
work for them. Did you know Fox News, Fox Channel, 75% of Fox's advertising revenue was from Big Pharma a couple years ago? Why do you think
I did know that?
BS?
I did know that.
And what is it? And you look every other commercial on Fox News, Newsmax, and all that stuff. They're pumping that gold bullshit. Funds that they're doing, they're all under investigation for fraudulent.
Look at Joe Rogan pumping those dumb brain pills. He's no different than the tinfoil hat clown who got in trouble for denying guns and all the stuff.
And when's the last time they brought up reining in, or stopping Congress from insider trading? When's the last time we heard about that? Like a few months back.
Hey, I got a bunch of news on that.
$300 million.
Hey, I know. Listen, we got to do St. G. I'm gonna break all. We're gonna talk about this stuff with St. G. Rico, you should be on it.
I'm with it, man.
Oh boy.
Burn it down, Jason. Burn down all the system.
Burn it down. You got any thoughts on this, Gretchen?
No.
Okay. All right. Gretchen has nothing. Chris has nothing. He's holding his tongue.
Bet on the house.
Okay. I'm telling you, short them all. Short them all.
Don't bet on Jason Beck. He will never pay a bet.
Don't get that twisted,
He's
girl.
a credit concern.
Crazy.
I'd stay away from bets.
God, here we go. But coming up.
And anyone who has debt with Jason,
Sean,
I will buy it for 10 cents on the dollar and
goodbye,
collect.
goodbye, Sean. Have a good day, buddy. Minnesota's marijuana tax revenue surpasses $500,000 in its first month of sales. According to the state's first month of receipts due on August 20th, the Minnesota Department of Revenue has received $594,461 from 571 businesses through August 21st. According to the Department of Revenue, the sales tax is projected to provide $15.4 million in additional funding to the state's general fund in fiscal year 2024. In 2025, the projection raises to $50 million, and in 2026, $84 million is expected. Located on tribal lands, currently only Red Lake and White Earth Nation have the only legal dispensaries to sell marijuana, flower, and edibles that contain more than 10 milligrams of THC per serving in them. On its first day of sales, Native Care in Red Lake saw long lines for its products and has since expanded hours to Saturday and are establishing a mobile dispensary similar to a food truck. Currently, adults can possess and travel within Minnesota's borders with 2 ounces of cannabis flower, 8 grams of concentrate, and 900 milligrams of THC containing edible products, commonly found in gummies, seltzers, and whatnot. Meanwhile, they can have up to 2 pounds of cannabis flower at home. However, cannabis products purchased on Indian reservations from a seller licensed by the tribe are exempt from the specific tax. Sales by or for a patient enrolled in the state's medical cannabis registry program are also exempt, and tough legal usage of marijuana is still limited in public places, with both Duluth, Wright County, and other communities enacting policies limiting its consumption since legalization. As part of the new law, 20% of revenues from the gross receipts tax will go to the newly established local government cannabis aid account in a special revenue fund, they say. Well, Minnesota did $500K. I don't really think that's a lot of money, but whatever, they're making it a headline. What do you guys think about this?
I was falling asleep because you're just killing me today, Jason, but did you say how many shops are open in Minnesota? Did it mention?
That's the part with Minnesota I'm so confused on, because they only have the 2 Indian tribes, right?
Okay.
And so if I'm an Indian tribe,
$500K.
If I'm an Indian tribe and I'm selling weed, why am I paying the state any money in taxes at all? Period. Why? Why would I be?
You saw what happened last time. They didn't try to pay up.
What are you talking like the Trail of Cheers? What are you talking about?
No, they get more shit taken away from them. Every time they get more shit taken away from them, and they have more of the local cops and shit like encroaching, or the federal cops like encroaching on their land and arresting people and all kinds of other shit. Like, it's harassment and it's wrong, but they're not gonna rise. They're not gonna rise up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. What do you got to say, Sean? What do you got to say?
What happens when you rise up against that?
This is the problem we have. They're going to. The reality is, all these states are going to be dominated by the illicit market. When you decriminalize possession and try to restrict the supply chain, and they're going to tell, just like California says, "Oh, we raised $1 billion in taxes. It's going to be a fraction of this year and next." But what they're not telling you is a percentage of cannabis sales are like 29%, which is dead last, right? And so their taxes are putting untaxed cannabis in the illicit market, and there's this thing called the Laffer curve, and they're not maximizing tax revenue. We can discuss this later.
Yep.
Someone smart needs to get into politics and change this game.
I agree with that.
Jesse Ventura for emperor.
Oh boy.
Jesse Ventura, no.
No, the Laffer curve is real.
Better than Jesse.
I believe it's actually pronounced the Laffer curve.
Problem is, Jesse's one of these Navy SEALs guys, and they've got some toxic masculinity problems. We can discuss all the stories.
There's
with
no
them
such thing as toxic masculinity, bro. That's the most ridiculous stuff I've ever heard.
There is absolutely toxic masculinity, and there's toxic femininity. There's toxic people.
Stop it.
And it's not a gender issue.
Stop it.
All right, given all this toxic masculinity, I gotta go.
Yeah,
y'all are
exactly
toxic anonymity.
Yeah,
hey, it's about ratings. You guys are boring without me. I love you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Sean the Body Kiernan, you're coming in strong today. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of High at 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high at noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments live on the big screen, and live audience members supporting and catching us across all media platforms. Tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and all our sponsors keeping the lights on, and AV struggles to a minimum. Of course, the lovely Jaja Simone tapping in. Love to hear your voice this morning, Jaja. Sad I missed you this weekend. But always Cannabis Sativa L, the reason the High at 9 News team reads these headlines every single day. It has been Monday, August 28th. 2023. The show's over, and you've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hopefully it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until Monday, at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, and we're going to give it to Chris Eggers today, man. What you got for us, brother? Got some good news for the people?
He's not there, bro. He's already gone. You only got Sean and me.
He's smoking crack.
Yeah, he had a call.
You got the final word today. You got 30 seconds right now, Sean. Give it all you got. Let's just give us a grand finale. What you got for us, brother?
I am done playing games. Weed for Warriors is in the house, and if you got a problem with it, step into the ring. 2 men in, 1 man leaves. All genders included in that. I do not give an F if you haven't figured it out. We are disintermediating the frauds. You got to find, are you a fraud or are you real? If we disagree, get into we're going to be doing a sesh. Blunt talks, I like to call my sesh. Come challenge me.
Oh, what do you mean, boy? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's going to be live on our Patreon. Make sure you go check it out.
Yes.